Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Pixel Chatter number 35. Just getting, Hey Sam, do I miss Tassie yet? Yes, I do. Of course I do. The good news is, where's my camera today? Here it is over here. The good news is that I'm heading back there for the June long weekend. So if you're around, mate, I'll be up at Cradle Mountain looking for snow. I'm going to go snow hunting because I got a good deal to head back there for a few nights, and I missed out on snow. So I'm hoping that sometime the snow will fall from the sky, and that will be sitting on top of the mountain for me when I get there. G'day Greg. G'day Ren. Everyone, good to see me back. Yeah, it's good to be back. It seems I'm a bit disorganised this morning because I haven't done this for a while. And I was a bit worried because the internet here has been really patchy lately. I don't know what they're doing. And IINet is blaming NBN, and NBN is blaming someone else, Telstra, and yeah, it's just a mess at the moment. But anyway, we have internet, we have coffee, which is what's important. And we have a couple of images to critique, and a fair bit of news to share as well, of course, and some competition winners to announce for the last two challenges, because I haven't announced I didn't do it last Saturday because I was away. Up in Laurelton, I was the keynote speaker for the Northern Zone Photography Congregation. And there was about 120 photographers there. And I got up and did a 1-hour keynote speech on landscape photography. And it went down really well. So it was a lot of fun. If you were there, give me a shout out. Love to hear if you were there. What have we got here? Rick's in there as well. G'day, Rick. G'day, Tim. Yeah. Awesome. Everyone's jumping in. Cool. All right, let's get straight into it because I've got a lot to cover off. A lot of exciting stuff happening. A few new things to tell you about. And I don't know how we're going to go for time, but we'll give it a go. So yeah, just got back from Tasmania. I was there for 2 weeks. Ran 2 workshops over there. If you've been on the Facebook page in particular, you would have seen that I've been posting, or Instagram, on my Instagram, I've been posting pictures from my Tassie trip. I actually didn't take a lot of photos simply because I was there running a workshop, and the idea was to make sure that the workshop participants took a lot of photos. Having said that, I did manage to snap a few off and got a few keepers, which is good. And I took the Fuji camera over with me because it was lighter, and yeah, it all worked out pretty well. So if you want to see how the Fuji gear performs, there'll be a couple of vlogs coming out. And so what I've decided, I'm scheduling my vlogs for Tuesday nights at 7:30, and I've now got a few coming up. So you'll see some regular content coming out from me. I know it's been a little bit spasmodic this year, but that's coming out. So the next 3 vlogs, I think, are all Tasmania, maybe 4. I can't remember now, but it's all Tassie. And I'm heading back to Tasmania for the June long weekend because I'm hunting that snow and looking forward to trying to find some snow on top of the cradle. Just checking if you see me look like I'm watching tennis like that, the camera's here. That's you right there. And my chat box is over there. My control panel is all over there where I control everything. I've got something in my eye. So if it looks like I'm watching tennis, that's what it is. Alrighty. Exciting news. Something happened in the last couple of weeks. And how much can I say? I can't say much, but I have a new camera coming. I'm hoping to have it before the June long weekend, and I will update you when it gets here. And I'm not sure how much I can tell you yet, but we'll get there. Keep your ears to the ground because you never know what you'll find out. All right. If you are in Sydney, by the way, or thinking about coming to Sydney, I'm running my Vivid Sydney workshops. Now, if you don't know, Vivid Sydney kicked off last night. There was they reckon over 100,000 people turned up. If anyone went there, let me know what it was like. But Vivid Sydney has started, and it's really hard to capture. It's not just night photography, but everything's moving. There's people everywhere. There's a lot of colour. You need fast shutter speeds. You need high ISOs. There's a lot of balancing to be done to get good shots. And I've always managed to get a few keepers out of it. And so that led to me, about 5 years ago, starting to run workshops. I took a year off last year, but I've got a couple planned again this year. So if you want to go to my Vivid photography workshops, 2 ways you can find them. One is just head to my Facebook page. I've got a link on there. to the Vivid workshops, or if you go to Eventbrite and you just search for Vivid Photography Workshops, you'll find my workshops. And it's $127 to come along. I limit the numbers to 6. I won't be doing any shooting. I'm simply there to help you do shooting. I have my camera gear with me as a backup if someone's gear breaks down, and if they want to try any Nikon lenses. But essentially, I'm there to help you get the shot. So if you want to come, I've still got a few spots available for the 31st of May, which is this Thursday, and then I'm doing it again, I think, the week after. I can't remember the date, but you'll see. If you search it in Eventbrite, you'll see. Alrighty. What's going on here now? Anthony says you're pregnant. No. Well, maybe. I'm going to have a new baby. What Fuji lenses did I take with me, Tim asked? I took the 35mm 1.4, but in particular because that was for macro. And I was really impressed, actually, how that worked. I bought the MCEX11, which is the Fujifilm extension tube specifically made for their camera with their lenses, so it transfers all the information through the electronic connections. And it was good, but you have to get really close, which means that if anything was, it was hard to, and fungi, for example, in a rainforest is difficult at the best of times, but to try and get really close. There were times when I just had the Fuji laying on moss to try and get the shot, and I used the Gorilla Pod mostly for the macro, which worked really well. I've got the big one, and but it allowed me just to set the camera wherever I wanted. But however, it's not super stable, so it was difficult, very difficult from that perspective. And then I took my 10 to 24mm, which I always have with me. I took the 100 to 400 to try some wildlife stuff, but I'm just not into that at all, and that lens is just too big and cumbersome, so I'm going to sell it. If anybody wants a 100 to 400, let me know. It's a beautiful lens, amazing stuff. You can see a review of it on my YouTube channel, but it's just not my cup of tea. I like landscape, so I've got a wildlife lens. I'm just not going to use it. I had to go, but it's just not my thing. I also took the 18 to 135 lens with me, and I think that was pretty much it. And it all worked out really well. But I use the wide angle more than anything, and that fits my Lee filter kit, the 7.5 kit. So thank you for asking. G'day John, g'day Brian. Alrighty. So where did I get up to? Oh, yeah, some exciting stuff. So what I decided to do was, if you haven't already seen, if you jump into the Patreon page, you'll see that I've created some new levels. Now, those of you that are already VIPs, I'm going to get you to send me your address, and I'm going to shoot you a gift anyway, no matter what level you're at, right? So if you shoot me a message through the messenger function with your postal address, that's one way you can do it. Or the other way is you can send me a sticker from your town, and you'll see why shortly, with a return envelope in it with your address written on it, and I will take it to the post office, pay with the postage, and send you back something. But I do have some new merch. One of them, let me see if I can get this working well, is this cup here. Okay, this is a new coffee mug just for VIP members of a certain level. So if you go to patreon.com/on3legs with a number 3, you'll see how you can get that. Or this one too, look at this, that's cool, isn't it? A little can cooler, beer can cooler, it's just on one side. It says eat, sleep, shoot, repeat. I'm sure everybody would like to do that. And we also have some stickers as well. I'll show you these just quickly if I can get them out. Stickers for members. Here we go, look at that. Some stickers. VIP member stickers. And these are all just for VIPs. And I also have, where are they? Oh, here they are. I also did some postcards, so with different images on them. So I can send you a postcard. So this one here, what have I pulled out here? Here we go. This one here, there we go, is my bit of reflection there off the screen. There we go. Is a postcard of the aurora, and on the back I will write a little message of thank you and send that to you. So if you go to patreon.com/on3legs, I'll just get this out of the way because it's going to rustle like crazy. There we go. Patreon.com/on3legs with the number 3, and you can see how you can go about getting your own merch. And we may add these ones in there too at some point. That Scott got designed. I need to get the design off of Scott. He's probably watching. But yeah, some new merch for those of you that want to support the channel and also get a little bit of, on three legs happening. As you can see, a bit of fun with that. And this is a good, beer can cooler. Bit of fun. So that's pretty cool. Hey, Izzy. G'day, Izzy. Morning, mate. Thanks for joining the live broadcast this morning. Alrighty, so that is the new merch. Now, talking about stickers, and some of you would have seen that I posted this up in particular in the VIP group for all the VIPs. And this is a worldwide map. Actually, I won't get it out. You know what the world looks like, but it's a map of the world. And if you can see it behind me there, where that image there is, that's actually a reprint of a very famous painting. So it's of a famous painter's painting. So it's actually not real. I don't even know where I got that from, but it's going. And what's going to happen is that map's going to go up there. Now, the reason I'm doing that is I wanted to start. I'm always staggered by where around the world everybody comes from, because we have just represented in so many countries, so many places. So I decided to do a worldwide sticker board. Then the boss said, that's dumb. You didn't think that through. Because she's pretty honest with me, right? She said, that's dumb. You're an idiot, chump. You didn't think that through. And how are you going to stick everyone's stickers up there without covering up the map? So you've got to send small stickers, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, what that led me to then was I went and bought these here, which, as you can see, are flag pins. So what that means is I can stick your sticker on, and then I'll put a string to where it's from. I don't know, and it might go around the outside of the map. I don't know. I haven't thought it through. However, what I will get you to do, you'll see down below in the description is my postal address as a P.o. Box. If you shoot me a sticker, and this is for anybody, not just VIPs, if you shoot me a sticker inside an envelope, and then inside that envelope you also have a return envelope with your address on it, I will pay the postage for the return. I will send you a sticker in return, an on three legs sticker, and your sticker has to somehow represent where it is you're from, okay? And we'll stick that up on the sticker board. So maybe you've got a photography club sticker, maybe you've got a local sticker of some sort, but we'll get the worldwide sticker board going for a bit of fun, and it'll start to really make an impact as to where all the people who watch this show come from. So hopefully you like that idea. I sort of stole it from another YouTuber that has a motorbike channel that I really like, the whole idea, and I thought, cool, let's do that, because and he's got a much bigger wall than I do, but that's all right. We'll work through that. You know how the boss is. She's always very honest with me. Alrighty. Now, just having a look through the chat box quickly before I move on to the next thing, which is the VIP challenge winners, and I'm doing the last two VIP challenges. Now, before I do that, let's have a look. Hi, Ben, do you do time-lapse? Sometimes. Usually, you know what, for my time-lapse, I use the iPhone, or what I did just purchase for time-lapse, because I do like doing time-lapse, is this here. And this is the GoPro Hero 6, I think it is. Whatever it is, I just bought it recently and took it to Tassie with me. I haven't done much with it yet, but I do like doing time-lapse. And you said, any thoughts about the time-lapse view by Elia Parker? Not familiar with that. Sorry, can't help you there, handy parts. Bala, g'day. Nice mug, says John. I hope you're talking about my face. Oh, then he says, not you, the cup. Of course. Cheeky bugger. Let's have a look. All right, fantastic. Okay, so let's move on to the challenge winners. And to be honest, it's been a bit quiet in the challenges, gang. So for the VIPs, are you finding it too cold, too hot where you are to take photos, too wet? I know, we've got some people from England where it's always raining. Oh, I love my morning coffee. Where was I? So I've lost my track. Oh, that's right. VIP challenge winners. So let's jump across and I'll share my screen. Let's get this the right size so I can show you what's going on. Always, this is the fun part, is trying to get everything to work. All right, let's go across to the screen. Here we go. All right. So this is in the VIP group, by the way. For anybody who's not a VIP, you won't be able to find this online unless you are a VIP. So if you want to become a VIP, the way to do that is you go to patreon.com/on3legs with the number 3. I'm pretty sure it's in the description down below, and you can become a VIP and you can participate in these challenges. So let's look at challenge week, or challenge 13. As you can see, only 5 photos entered, so I need you guys to, if you're going to get serious about these challenges, start uploading these images, get out there and take some photos. You know, I like to give you that excuse. All right, let's jump in and have a look. Hey, John says, are you still sending the VIP challenge info by email? I rarely go on Facebook, so I've missed them. Oh, well, I do them every week. I can start emailing them out. That's easy enough to do, but because that'll go out. I think when I update the Patreon page, which I don't always do because I use Facebook more, if I do the fair, that'll help you. And John says, I haven't participated recently because I missed a couple of them. You're confused when they open and they close. Okay, so they open on a Monday, they close on a Monday. So that's just the best way to think about it. I'm not really strict about the time, but if you just, they open on a Tuesday, they close on a Monday. So 1 a.m. Tuesday morning, they're ready to go. They close Monday at midnight. Just think about it like that. We've actually done challenge 14. We're actually on challenge 15, John. I'll show you in a second. All right, let's get into this. So we had Stephen Cast's very interesting interpretation of trees. This is modern trees. I thought that was quite funny. Brian Willett here, photo with some nice reflections, like that one. Ren here with an autumn tree. Lots of autumn trees around at the moment, isn't there? A grass tree from Ren as well. And then some smoky trees also from Ren. So the boss, of course, is the challenge winner, chooser. So she always chooses the image that speaks to her the most. And the winner for challenge number 13 is Ren Thielen for smoky trees. Quite a nice image, that one. I love it. Well done, Ren. And the runner-up was this one here by Brian Willett. So good work, guys. So that's for challenge number 13. Good stuff. So Anthony's saying, is that Australian Eastern Standard Time? I don't care what time zone you're in. The reason I did it with the way I've done it means that you can just enter them by the end of your Monday and you know you're going to be okay. Because I don't announce the winners until Pixel Chatter on the Saturday. So just wherever you are in the world, the challenge opens on Tuesday, shuts on Monday in any time zone. So it can be US Eastern, it can be Australian Eastern, it can be, I don't know, Nigerian time. I don't care. I just want you to get out there and take some photos. As you guys know, I'm not a big fan of photo competitions as such, but I do love challenges. I do love challenging you to take better photos. So let's go into the next one, which was shallow depth of field. And this, you see my cover photo? This was actually a photo I took with the Fuji X-T1, the 35mm 1.4 with the extension tube on. And I know Izzy's in the chat box somewhere. Izzy's got a photo of this, I think, of this particular mushroom as well. All right, let's have a look through the entrance for shallow depth of field. So Jill, great photo, Jill. Nicely done. Ren, obviously enjoying a snack with his bounty. Rob Roy with his light bulbs. That's a pretty interesting composition, like that one. Ren with a busted balloon. I wonder if somebody had a party, did they, mate? Ren with the bougainvillea. That's pretty interesting. I never really looked that closely at a bougainvillea before, but there you go. Anthony with this one here. I didn't give it a name, but we'll call it purple flowers, because that's what it is. Anthony with some barbed wire. So it's good to see a lot more entries in this one. It's quite an interesting effect, the old rusty barbed wire. Imagine, isn't it amazing what you do when you just go out and look at some of the little things of what you can capture? Alrighty, so the winner for this one is this one here, Anthony, for purple flowers. Nicely done, nice composition, nice depth of field, and works really, really nicely. And this is the type of image that, with a shallow depth of field, can work nice because you know what the rest of the image looks like, but it's out of focus. So it's beautiful. And the runner-up was this one, Rob Roy with his light bulbs. Quite a unique shot. So well done, guys. Congratulations on those images. Good job. All right. Now I need a breather. I need to have some coffee. What's going on in the chat box? Let's have a look. Yeah, I love my morning coffee. So if you do want your own On Three Legs mug, go to the Patreon site and you'll see how to get one, and we'll send you one out. The thing that shocked me, I've sent some out already. My God, the postage is ridiculous. I sent something to the US, a pack the other day, for, who was it? Jeff, I think. Jeff, yeah. But just for a small flat pack that weighed, I'm seriously talking about 50 grams, cost me $25. I couldn't believe it. So I thought, oh, well, doesn't matter. We're spreading the good word. We're spreading the good word. I have to find a cheaper carrier than Australia Post. What a rip-off. Alrighty, what brand of coffee do I drink? Well, Rick, I don't know because the boss buys it, and we have a coffee machine, a DeLonghi coffee machine, and we pour beans in it, and it grinds the beans up and makes the coffee. I think the boss changes the brands up depending on what's on sale, to be honest with you. And we have a couple we just don't buy anymore because they're not nice flavours, but she sort of knows which ones we like and just gets them. So there you go. Yeah, congratulations to everybody. All right, let's go on to the next thing. What do we got next? Image critiques. Let's do it. Image critiques. All right, so I've got to get my screen set up again. This is the joys of live streaming. Okay. What brand of coffee do you drink, Rick? Be interested to know. Let's jump over live streaming. Here we go. So this week we've got 2 images as always. You can see 3, but the reason for that is that Brian has sent me in the original raw image as well prior to his post-processing. So you'll see this one here is by Rob Roy, and he's got a bit of a note there that I'll read out. And then this one here is by Brian, and this was the before photo. So this is the after and the before, just probably to give me a bit of an insight into how he's processing his images. And you'll see there's a few things that disappear. And I know, you all know I like to remove distracting things, so cool bananas. We'll go through that in a second. Oh, Rick just has Nescafe. Crikey, Rick. Obviously not a coffee connoisseur. No, they reckon Nescafe is pretty good, but I like my ground beans. That's how I like it. All right, so let's get into this. So I'm going to start off with Rob Roy's image. He says, "Hey Ben, thanks again for your critiques." He said, "They've really helped me improve and deepen my passion for photography." Hey mate, you're welcome. I'm super stoked that that's the case. He says, "I'm now using the histogram way more than I used to and try to stay away from the clipping on both sides." He says, "Anyway, keep up the great work, and I do appreciate all the work and time, effort that goes into the show and your vlogs." Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. This image is from, I'm going to try and pronounce this, Washougal, WA, which is Wisconsin maybe? I don't know. I've got no idea what the states are over there. WA, somebody might help me out. Probably from the US, which is just north of Portland, Oregon. And it is in Washington State, WA, okay, by the Columbia River. I was driving along the river's edge and saw this stretch of railroad. I have always loved railroads from the real to the model scale, and this stretch just seemed to go on forever, so I wanted to get really low and hit that perspective. The sky was a bit overcast, but I tried to keep the highlights from being blown out. Awesome. Just be careful, guys, on railway tracks where, because I have heard of photographers being hit, but obviously, you're all adults, you're responsible, but just be careful. This one looks like it's definitely used because I can see the shiny parts on the tracks. So be careful when you're out there. Alrighty, so great composition, of course. You get something like this with the leading eyes. It's leading the eyes right down the railroad, makes you feel like you're there. Trees either side, nice green grass. This fence on the left here looks nice as well. I can see your point about the sky, and in an instant like that, I would be tempted to point the camera down a bit, but we'll come back to that. Let's look at the technical details. So he's shot this with a Nikon D500. He's used the Tokina ATX 11 to 16mm f2.8 lens. Shot at ISO 64. Perfect. Always get that ISO down as low as you can go. At 15mm, 1/50th of a second at f16. So f16 was a great aperture for this because it gives you a nice depth of field. Everything is pretty much in focus. You can see if you look right down here that it's not quite in focus, but it's pretty good. Might just be my JPEG compression. Might be in focus. Let's have a look. Let's get in real close and we'll have a look. It's hard to tell. It looks like it's just out of focus on the edges there, which is pretty typical of a wide-angle lens. And you just have to, work with that and know that that's going to happen. There's a couple of ways around that. I'll show you in a second. But great image. Really like the image. The concept was good. And from a technical aspect, everything's cool. Shot really well, technically. Let's jump into the develop module. I just hit the D key, which takes me straight into the develop module. And there's a couple of things that you could do with this image straight away to, I reckon, improve the composition. One is turn it into a pano. Because the sky is a bit boring, you could even make it quite a big pano, something like that. And that gets rid of your out of focus parts and just changes the perspective of the image completely. If you look at that, all of a sudden you've got a really interesting pano image. Now, you haven't lost anything from the top because the sky wasn't interesting. There was nothing dynamic going on there. It was relatively ho-hum, not a lot of detail. So you can see that straight away that has given a different perspective on the image. Even if you just crop this bit off at the top, you're still getting something a little bit more. Although I find this in the foreground here, the foreground a little bit heavy, where and distracting, and that's why the crop just going up that little bit actually works quite well. Where you just bring that up in front of those two big bolty things, whatever they are, just to there. Something like that even could work quite well. And even if we put a bit more in at the top, so it's not such a skinny pano. If it'll let me move it. Why is it doing that? I find this quite annoying sometimes. I don't know why it's not doing that. Let's just undo those. What have we got going on? There we go, that's better. Okay. And something like this. Now, if you can hear snoring in the background, by the way. Actually, I like that better. That's a nice size. The snoring in the background is not me. It's my dog. He's having a sleep. I've got both my dogs in here with me. So you see that? I actually like that better. That's quite a nice composition. And that works really, really well. The other thing that you could do is just slightly rotate it this way, and the reason for that is just I think it's one of these tracks is slightly lower or higher than the other, and I don't like what that did, so we're going to go back. Maybe I rotated it just too much, so let's just do it slightly, just ever so slightly. Yeah, that's better, and it just sort of evens out this a bit on the sides, because with an image like this, it is a lot of symmetrics going on, and I think that works pretty well. I like that. I think that works well. As for the sky, let's just have a quick look at something here. I can see straight away, and it's pretty obvious, there's a dust bunny. Can you see that? So just make sure you grab your spot removal tool and you just fix those dust bunnies up. Just get rid of them like that. Okay, it's gone. Pretty quickly it's gone. And of course, it's always good to go through and look at the image square by square by zooming right in. I go to extremes, and then once you're up here, you can sort of just hit your page down button and go through square by square. And all I'm doing is hitting on a Mac function and my down arrow, and it goes. I don't know if you can see my left navigator over here. I'll go to a smaller. Instead of 11:1, let's just go to 4:1. So if you see my square over here on the left, it's just moving through the entire image, allowing me to inspect every single square of the image. I'm holding down the function key and pressing the down arrow. That's all I'm doing on my Mac. If you are on a PC, you will have a page down button. Okay. Now you can see as we look through, there are certain things that don't seem to be in focus. Looks like there's a bit of chromatic aberration going on in the trees. So just some things that we can sort out using Lightroom. We'll come back to that in a second. But always have a good look through your entire image and make sure that things are working well. As for the sky, I would be very tempted to grab a graduated filter, drag it down and just drop the exposure a little bit up there because it's not really adding much value. Now you can see the right hand corner is becoming a bit too dark. So let's see if we can rotate things a bit just to make it so. Oops, that's done a whole new one. So we're just rotating this image. Okay, I'll get another one. I'll just bring it in from the corner instead of. So when you can see that what you're doing is darkening something too much, you can always just grab a new one, and I'll just darken that corner just a bit like that, just to even that out. Now I'll drag one from the top. So when I do a new graduated filter, I click on the graduated filter, hold down the shift key, and that doesn't let it move in increments. Instead, it'll go either 90 degrees, it'll go straight like that. And I'm just going to drop the exposure down slightly in the sky like that. And I can see some highlights up there as well. So if I just go back and grab that and reduce the highlights a bit, and then I'll just bring the exposure back up, because I think it's the highlights that are the problem. In fact, there's a fair bit of highlighting going on in between the trees for some reason up here. So let's get rid of that just with a brush, reset everything to 0, except bring the highlights down and just brush over that area just to try and settle that down. It's a bit distracting. Same over this side of the trees. There we go. That's looking a bit better. Yeah. You know, you could definitely do a little bit of radial filters, just dodging and burning things to try and settle things down a bit. Once again, don't go too extreme, but just enough to settle things down. Just a bit here and there, just like that. Okay, let's have a look at the before and after quickly. So this is after, this is before. So if you have a look at the sky, just the difference of how it brings it's brought some detail back to the sky. It's also bringing your eye down into the image rather than being pulled up by those really bright bits, you know, and creating a bit more mood. Definitely can see a lot more detail now up here in the sky, which is good. Ignore the noise for now because we'll do something about that shortly. But, you know, it's giving you a bit of a feel for, you know, what we're doing. I would go a little bit crazy here now to really bring these tracks out. And the way that I would do this is using this clarity. So I've selected a brush, clarity to 100%, and just brush over where the tracks are. And you watch what it does to the image when we do the before and after. Let's really do that. The other thing I really like is this fence. I'm going to do the same on the fence just to make it stand out. I'm doing this rough, but you get the idea. Okay, let's have a look now at that. So, by the way, I'm hitting the tab key to make those, to toggle those menu, or those control toolbars on and off. Just hitting the tab key. This one down the bottom, we'll get rid of that. And then I'm hitting the L key to give me this black view so I can just see the image on its own. So let's do before and after. Have a look at the tracks now. See the difference that clarity brush made? So that was before. They're all washed out, lack contrast. And that's with the clarity brush. And it really has made them the hero of the shot. And I always talk about the hero of the shot. If they're the hero of the shot, then that's what we should work on, really make stand out. We want them to be the hero, then let's make them the hero. Now we can add a little bit of sharpening. Let's do that. And just get some masking going on. Hold down your Alt key, slide the mask across until you're happy with what it's going to mask. In this instance here, there's a lot going on, but I wanted to sharpen up all the edges a bit. So I'm going to set it about there, and that just sharpens everything up a little bit for me. I'm going to put a graduated filter on from the bottom, just a little one. And I'm going to reset everything to 0 and just drop the exposure down a bit on the bottom, just to create that vignette, but in a letterbox fashion, like so. We'll just go up here and see what a bit of dehaze does. Just might add a little bit, not too much, and a bit of overall clarity. No, don't like the clarity. I've already done that too much with the brush, so we'll just a little bit of dehaze. And then if we come down here to the tone, let's just pull the shadows down a bit, push the lights up a bit, just to create a bit more contrast. So now I need to go up here and just reduce the dehaze just a tad. And that's given us some nice depth and contrast into the image. So let's have a look at that now. So just, with those changes, you can see that's the final image. Let's have a look at before. So this is before. See how it all lacks a bit of definition and a bit of depth. Just with a few changes in Lightroom, we've added all that depth, and it just makes you feel like you're standing there. And it's a really nice composition, really nicely shot image. I wouldn't do too much more than that. I'd be happy to print that and stick it up on the wall. That's pretty cool. There's a couple of little things that maybe bother me, like over here you can see some rubbish. And you can't go around and clean up all the rubbish. But what you can do if you, in here in Lightroom, is you can just grab yourself a little spot healing brush and get rid of it. You can always just try and find an area that matches. Find something somewhere that is going to work. Let's try that. That's better than the rubbish. Something there too, see there? So these are little things that I pick up with my eyes pretty quickly. Something there as well. It's just a leaf. I'd get rid of that. It's just a bit distracting. It's not clear whether it's rubbish or leaf because it's such a busy area. Easy to get rid of. Yeah, just little things like that. Not much you can do. There's some cars up here. With Photoshop, you could certainly remove those, and I'd be tempted to if I was really going to print this up. Same with this tree here at the end. I'd be even tempted to duplicate that a few times so it stands out. It's quite a nice tree. But otherwise, you could leave it like that. Looks pretty good. What do you think? What does everybody think of that one? So there you go. Thanks very much for that one, Rob. It's great to have you sending some images in. And I've got quite a lot of images, obviously, sitting at the moment because we haven't done Pixel Chatter for a few weeks. I was in Tassie, but if you do want your images critiqued on the show, shoot them through to Ben at On3Legs. That's the word 3, on3legs.com. Email address is down below in the description. Alrighty. Let's have a look at the chat box. What's everyone talking about? It doesn't look like there's much chatter going on. Everyone's enjoying the critiquing too much, are they? Is that what it is, or has my stream stopped? No, the stream's good. Excellent. Bozzy Beaver? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Greetings from the Netherlands. Did I miss a lot? You can always go back and watch it. It's recorded, so you can enjoy it later. But we have been going for nearly 40 minutes, so yeah, you have missed some stuff. Alrighty. Let's now head back to the library in iTunes. And here we go. Come on, software, catch up. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at these two images here, which were sent in by Brian. So 2 and 3. There we go. And you can see that what Brian's done is he's given us the before and the after. So you can see, let me just switch them over. There we go. So the before is on the left. I'll get rid of this side panel. Oops. And we'll get rid of all the distractions. There we go. So the before is on the left and the after is on the right. So before on the left, after is on the right. And this is Brian's interpretation of some, I think in Tassie somewhere. I'm not sure where you took this one, Brian. You did tell me in the description, but I was a bit confused because you sent a few photos through and one of them had some descriptions on it about different lakes. So maybe if you're happy to in the chat box, just let everyone know where these photos were taken, and we'll start working on having a look at them. So let's first of all look at the technical details of this single image here, which is your finished product. And then I do like the fact that you brought you sent me the original, because it was good to see your take on how you process this image, because it's interesting to see. So let's look at the technical details. This was shot with a Nikon D750, used the 24-70mm 2.8 lens, which is a great lens. And typically, that's a portrait lens they tout it as a portrait lens. But as landscape photographers, don't be afraid to try things besides a wide-angle lens. Now, I'm one to talk because I shoot everything with a wide angle. But I do try sometimes to shoot a little narrower because it's a good a good way to change up the perspective a little bit. Shot at ISO, where is it? ISO 100. Base ISO for that camera, so that's perfect. Shot at 31 millimeters, f11. So good aperture to get most of it sharp throughout the range, and 1.3 seconds. So obviously shot on a tripod, but I can see a little bit of a byproduct of that slower shutter speed here in this moving foliage here, and I'll show you a trick to get rid of that shortly. The detail on the clouds is good. Love the mountains, the layering in the mountains. The lakes look a little bit overblown to me. We'll come back to that in a second. And nice leading line in here with the track coming through. So relatively overall pretty good. And as I said, that's the before image that we had from Brian to give you an idea. So we'll come back to that in a second, and we'll have a look at what he's done there. Let's just start here from a technical point of view with this moving foliage. I'm going to quickly show you an image from, where are we? Let's go to Tassie. I'm just going to show you one in here that I've recently processed. So I can show you, let me go to my keyword and find one for waterfall. Waterfall, here we go. And I want to show you one that I recently processed that I took of this waterfall. Here we go. So you'll see, in fact, this is the one here. So this photo here, I took this one as a longer exposure because I wanted the silky water, but in particular what I wanted was these streaky bits in the water. So whenever I see bubbles going down through a stream, I try to get a longer exposure. Now the downside is these ferns are totally blurry. Okay, it doesn't look good at all. So then what I did was I took another one. Okay, I took another image, and as you can see, now the ferns are nice and sharp, a little bit of blur, not much, and another one got them nice and sharp. So what I do is I try and get every aspect of the image the way I want it, so when it comes time to do a final production, you end up with something like, where is it? Here it is. Something like this. So you end up with these nice streaky bits in the bottom, but you also end up with nice sharp foliage. So so the image looks like it's one image, but it's actually a combination of more than one image, and no one would ever know. And now you've got to do that in Photoshop. And I can see that Boz Beaver's asking about how he removed the pole. This in particular you have to do in Photoshop because I have to use masking to bring through the sharper foliage. Now you can see I didn't use the sharpest foliage. This still has blurry edges on it because I still wanted to depict some movement, but you'll see this side here is relatively sharp. So you just got to choose what it is that you want from your image, and then you can decide how you want it to look. But that's how you stop that from happening. Okay, so if you wanted to stop that from happening, very easy in an image like this to do that, just because the background's simple, makes it super simple to do it. But you do need to take one at a faster shutter speed, and so when you're out there shooting, you have to think about that and go, how do I go about shooting that? So that's that. The other thing is with this image, I think technically it may you may have just brought the shadows up a little bit too much in the foreground because it's a bit very bright in the foreground, not as bright in the background. And that's something that you get used to getting that balance right. But we'll have a look at what we could do to change that up. In fact, what I might do is start on this raw image. Someone's asking, did you remove these with the spot removal tool? I'm not sure that you can really easily. I mean, you could, but it's problem with Lightroom is it's not as accurate. Let's now that I've said that though, that's pretty good. Let's have a look. Yeah, you'd have a hard time picking that. There you go. Lightroom's getting so much better at it, isn't it? Let's have a look at this one. Let's see if we can do the same with this one. Oh, see, I always look for that. See that rock there is exactly the same. So I try and, I don't want to have such a prominent feature. See that leaf there? So you've just got to sometimes move it around till you find a feature that works, that's not so obvious. Something like that could work. Let's have a look at that one. Yep, that works. So there you go. That works pretty well, doesn't it? And I also noticed if you have a look back at the other image, if we go back out to that one, that the road is missing. So if we have a look between this one and this one, so you can see that road there is missing on his final edit. Definitely see that. Now, by the way, I've got the JPEG, so I don't have the original file. But I'm going to go into here and use the spot removal tool, and it will work on this. It's so far in the distance that it's going to be hard for you to spot that I've done that. Let's look at the before and after so far. So before and after, just removing those few things. Pretty powerful stuff, isn't it? Just remove a few things. It gives it a bit more of a out of the way sort of feel to it. Now, as you can see, if we look at the histogram here, a lot of it's bunched up to the left. And in fact, if we click the shadows clipping, you can see we've got clipping in the shadows. So just bump the exposure up slightly. I wouldn't go too crazy. Because now you can see we're getting clipping up here in the sky. But we're gonna be able to drop that when we bring the highlights down. So they're gone. And if we adjust our shadows a bit, we can get rid of the clipping. But the clipping of the shadows doesn't matter so much, because it doesn't matter if we lose detail in there. I'll then hold down the shift key, double click on whites, double click on blacks, let it do its thing. Once again, we get a bit of clipping up there. I'll sort that out soon. Maybe we could just drop the exposure back down to one stop. Yeah, let's do one stop. That looks good. I'm going to turn off that shadow clipping now. So if we just look at the previous to this one, so that's his edit and this is mine so far. It looks like, I'll just do fit so we get the same image. There we go. What else have you done? I'm trying to work out what Brian's done in his edit, but so you've got to be careful. I can see if you have a look at his edit here, see the haloing around the mountain? Okay, that's really easy to do when you push the shadows a bit too much. So what we'll do is, oops, gone the wrong way, hit the right arrow bend, there we go. I'm not going to touch the shadows at this point. I'm going to actually leave it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a bit of a dehaze and then a bit of vibrance. And I think I'm going to have to do a bit of radial for a bit of dodging and burning to get the result that I would want in this. So let's do a bit of dodging and burning here, just to bring these bushes up here on the side to look a bit better. Bring the exposure up slightly on them, something like that. Yep, let's duplicate that. And I'm going to drag that over here somewhere. Being careful not to, I don't want to dodge the sky. I just want to get the edge of the frame here a bit brighter so it's not as dark on the edge. Something like that looks good. Okay. This corner down here probably still needs something, so let's duplicate another one. Bring it over here like so, just in the corner a little bit, something like that. Looks good. Okay. Alrighty. Now I'm going to get another one, and I'm going to duplicate that one. Drag it out over here, but I'm going to invert this one. Ooh. Let's see if we can get this trick to work. But it's a bit too crazy. And we get, let's just get it the right size. No. Not happy with that one. I'm getting rid of that. Duplicate this one again. I'm going to stick it up here, and I'm going to reduce the... I'm going to do a bit of burning now. I'm just going to reduce the exposure a little bit up here. Make it smaller. Just to get rid of that highlight. I think what I'll do is, rather than reduce the exposure, let's just drop the highlights a bit more and see what happens. Software's taking a little bit to catch up. That needs a bit more of a feather. Let's just feather that out. It's not working well either. I think we're just going to have to put up with that highlight up there, unfortunately. It's not too bad. Alright, so let's get a bit of detail happening in the bottom. And I'm going to use a graduated filter. And the way you do this is bring a graduated filter in and then just bring the clarity up. And the clarity slowly graduates through the frame. That can work quite well, along with a bit of sharpness. Just bring the sharpness up in the image. I'm just going to then bring this up. And what you can do is if you grab your filter, and this makes the graduation a sharper graduation, got like a harder grad, and then out to the sky it finishes. So there we go. That's some sharpness and some clarity on that. I'm going to give the mountain some clarity on its own with a brush just in here, just to make it really stand out, and this road here just to really make it stand out. There we go. I think I'll bring another graduated filter in from the bottom. Let's do that. This time what I'm going to do, instead of clarity, I'll get rid of the clarity. I'm going to drop the exposure slightly. Just darken that down a bit to match the top of the frame. Now if we have a look at the one that Brian had originally sent me, his edit and mine, you can see mine's much darker, but I actually prefer it because it's a little bit more like it probably was. Because of the clipping, it's hard to push the exposure up too much. But yeah, I could do with a little bit more saturation, I think, and vibrance. Let's just get that white balance. Just warm it up. Just, oh, too much. Just a tad maybe. Or does it need cooling? What's going to work better? Might do it around about there, just a little bit down. So you can see overall, I've bumped the exposure by 1.25. Now I haven't added any contrast yet, so let's go down here to the levels. In fact, I'm going to use one of my presets called Secret Sauce. Let's see what that does. Okay, let's try clear the air. Yeah, I like that one better. Now, if you want these presets, by the way, VIPs, you get access to these. All right. Let me go back up here again. All that preset did was, by the way, was adjust some curve adjustments. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's have a look at that. Let's go into full screen. Oh. So this was before and this was after. Before and after. So I think there's one other change I'd like to make. And that is, I think we're a bit blue up the top. So another way to, if you want to remove weird colors, right, this is one of the tricks I like to use, is you grab a graduated filter, set everything back to the middle, and then if it's a grey sky, you can just desaturate. Look at the difference it makes. And that blue tinge that was in the sky has gone. Now I know that I know Brian did say he used a little stopper on this. Okay, so sometimes you can get a color cast from those because it gets confused. Let's have a look before, after. There we go, that's better. What do you reckon? Nice shot, good composition, and I can see people putting in the comments there that you could have used a zoom lens. Yes, you could have got the mountains, you could have compressed the shot, you could have done all sorts of things. But for this shot, I like the framing. I like the trees on the sides and the road, all framing this sort of vista. There is a lot going on, which can make it a bit tricky, a bit busy on the eyes. You know, I'd be tempted to, so this sort of track here, I'd be tempted to clone that out and just fill it with bushes because it's sort of a bit distracting. And the water, I feel, is a little bit blown out. So you just got to be careful with the with it, but it looks good. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. So good shot, Brian. Thanks for sending that in. It was great. I actually met Brian in Tassie. So it was good he came over on the Spirit of Tasmania for a few days and did a bit of a shoot and got to meet him there, which was cool. So hopefully you enjoyed that edit. And thanks, guys, for sending those images in. Really appreciate it. And, it's great to see all the photography improving as you go through and shoot more images. Okay. So I'll go to the chat box to wrap this up. If you are on social media, make sure you share your social media handle in the chat box. And anybody that wants, you should be following each other. Why not? Encourage each other, follow each other's work, and keep helping each other get better with your photography. Now, wow, there's been quite a few comments in the chat box. Let me have a look. Yeah, Rick says they've made the spot removal tool way much better. Yeah, it is. But I still find that if you use the healing brush in Photoshop, it does a much better job. So it's so easy to use Photoshop in conjunction with Lightroom. And the healing brush works the same way. You just, brush it on. But I find it's more accurate. So if you really seriously need to do more than just a spot, I mean, I rarely remove spots in Lightroom. Unless if I'm going to print, I definitely would use Photoshop because it just gives you better results. It's better at replicating pixels, etc. So there you go. John says, I'm always surprised how much people do in Lightroom or whatever raw editor they have. Yeah, well. It's amazing how much you can do, right? That's the thing. And as I always say, there's no right and wrong. It's just what you enjoy doing. So if you enjoy doing a lot of editing, go for it. Edit like crazy if that's what you want to do. I don't have any, I don't have any aversion to editing. I like encouraging people to post-process like no one's watching because no one is. You can do what you like. Elements is pretty decent. That's what you use. Hey, Rick. Cool. John says it's decent. Clipping is not always a bad thing. Yeah, not always, but I try to reduce as much as I can. John thinks Affinity Photo is better than Photoshop or on track to be better than Photoshop. Just lack of native plugins, yeah. I can see you guys having a chat there about different editors. I won't read all of that. George says the most important thing is that Brian likes it. Yeah, I agree, 100%. If you take the photo and you like it, it's a great photo. That's how it works. Brian says, thanks, Ben. Loved it. You're welcome, buddy. And it was great to meet you at Cradle Mountain. So it was good to. I always love catching up with people. It was funny because I met Brian there, but that was sort of wasn't arranged. But Brian knew I was going to be there. I knew Brian was going to be there. But funny that I met up with another Pixel Chatter viewer. His name's Colin. And he and his wife were there on their honeymoon. They just got married. And I was helping somebody set up for a macro shot of fungi in the forest, in the rainforest. Like you couldn't... What are the odds? And they found me in there. They come and said g'day. They bumped into me. He said, oh, you're the Pixel Chatter guy. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. So Brian says I used the healing brush. Cool. Awesome. Cool. All right, lots of good stuff in there. All right, so just a final reminder, I've got my Vivid workshops coming up. This Thursday is the first one. Still got a couple of spots available. And I will be helping you one-on-one to get your Vivid photos amazing. So the workshop starts at 6:30, goes till 9:30, and which leaves you then with a couple of hours to roam around on your own once I help you understand the best way to get the best shots. It is tricky, a lot of people, a lot of moving lights. But that's why I do the midweek because, especially once we've finished the workshop, most of the kiddies are gone because it's a midweek. They've got to go to school. And a lot of the adults go as well because, they want to go home to bed because they get up for work in the morning. And if it is raining, they still go ahead. And the rain actually adds a whole new element that makes them your photos awesome because you get all these reflections that you wouldn't normally get and glistenings and stuff that just, the rain brings out. So, a really cool thing to do. That's pretty much it for this week. So once again, thanks for tuning in for Pixel Chatter. Send your images for critique into ben@on3legs.com. Email address is down below. 3 images. I always like to get 3 if I can from you. Please give me a description. Make sure the EXIF information is included so I know about the shooting information so I can help you the best way with the technical side. But it's good to see the images I'm getting in from my regulars are the technical stuff. They've really got it nailed now. ISO nailed. Aperture's nailed. Everything's coming together nicely. So good stuff. Alrighty, so that's pretty much it for this week. We will see you again, same time, same bat channel for Pixel Chatter next week. Send in your stickers for the worldwide sticker board. I'll have it up on the wall for next week, and I'll hopefully have some stickers that we can stick up there during the show. Would love to see those. Alrighty, take care. Make sure you get out there and take some photos. Cheerio.